Let's learn about adaptive radiation, and focusing on the types of evolution like divergent evolution, convergent evolution, and parallel evolution. Let's start. Adaptive radiation is the evolution from a single ancestral species of a variety of forms which occupy different habitats. Adaptation is the evolution from a single ancestral species of a variety of forms which occupy different habitats. It is advantageous because it enables organisms to tap new sources of food and escape from some of their enemies. Driven by competition for food and living space, groups spread out to occupy as many different habitats as they can. Relation with example mechanism. Whenever a group of organisms is provided with the opportunity to spread into a number of new ecological habitats to which it has physical access and where survival is possible, adaptive radiation occurs. Placental mammals. Placental mammals provide a classical illustration of the process. From primitive insect-eating, five-toed, short-legged creature that walked flat on the ground, present-day types evolved. Dogs and deer adapted for running, squirrels and primates adapted for tree life, birds equipped for flying, beavers, seals and sea cows amphibious or aquatic existence, whales and porpoises completely aquatic, and moles, gophers and shrews, burrowing animals. Reptiles, a comparable major adaptive radiation occurred in reptiles during earlier geologic ages. Galapagos finches. On a smaller scale, ground finches on the Galapagos Island show adaptive radiation in big size shapes. Some feed million seeds, others on cactus, and others live in trees eating insects. Divergent evolution. Patterns of evolution. Divergent evolution. Definition. Adaptive radiation in which a single ancestral tribe gives rise to several descendant lines adapted in different ways to different environments is termed divergent evolution. Or concept, the essence of the evolution of a variety of different forms with single ancestral form, which each descendant adaptively specialized in a unique way to survive in a particular habitat. Example: the primitive ancestral mammals giving rise to dogs, bears, whales, moles, and primates. Or convergent evolution, divergent, convergent. The opposite phenomenon of divergent evolution, where two or more unrelated groups become adapted to similar environments and tend to develop features that are at least superficially similar. Evolution of similar characters in a groups of indifferent evolution ancestry. Wings. The development of wings in flying reptiles, birds, mammals, insects. Aquatic vertebrates, dolphins and porpoises, mammals, extinct ichthyosaurs, reptiles. Both bony and cartilaginous fishes evolved streamlined shapes, dorsal fins, tail fins, and flipper-like limbs. Okay, so streamlined shapes, dorsal fins, tail fins, flipper-like limbs in dolphins, porpoises, reptiles, and bony and cartilaginous fish. Burrowing animals, moles, insectivore, and gophers, a rodent, independently evolved similar fore and hind leg structure and adapted for digging. Eyes. The eyes of the squid and the eye of simpler vertebrates like fish are very similar in structure and function. Parallel evolution. Parallel evolution occurs when related ancestral lines independently evolve similarity features along parallel paths over time when exposed to similar selective pressures. Now let's see divergent evolution, single common ancestor, convergent evolution, unrelated different ancestry, parallel evolution, related ancestral stocks. These are the ancestral origin. Divergent evolution, environment, habitat, different environments. Convergent evolution, similar environments, and parallel evolution, similar environments. Resulting features. In divergent evolution, descendants become adaptively specialized in different ways. Convergent evolution, unrelated forms develop superficially similar features. Parallel evolution, similar modifications develop independently along parallel paths. Divergent evolution, primitive mammals, dogs, bears, whales, primates, moles. Convergent evolution, streamlined bodies, flippers in dolphins, ichthyosaurs, fish, digging legs in moles and gophers. Parallel evolution, similarity traits evolve independently related lineages. At radiation explains how a single ancestral line can give rise to diverse forms through diverse evolution as organisms spread into new habitats. Conversely, convergent evolution demonstrates how unrelated species inhabiting similar environments independently develop similarity features to meet comparative ecological demands, and parallel evolution, where similar modifications develop independently along parallel paths. Macromutation versus micromutation. The debate between micromutation and macromutation centers on the scale of genetic changes required to drive evolution and give rise to new species. While neo-Darwinists emphasize slow incremental changes, macromutations argue that major genetic leaps can produce entirely new forms on a single space step. Macromutation, neo-Darwinist view, small subtle genetic changes in individual genes or chromosomes that cause slight phenotypic variation. Latent process speciation occurs through the slow, gradual accumulation of many small mutations over vast periods and many generations. Intermediate forms requires numerous intermediate transitional forms between the original ancestor and the new species. Effect on organisms produces slight phenotypic variation affecting multiple body parts without disrupting the general harmony or development of the organism. Role of natural selection. Natural selection acts continuously on these small variations to preserve beneficial traits. Macromutation is viewed a sudden major change in the genetic system alters the overall pattern development. Latent process speciation and higher taxonomic changes can arise in a single step rather than through slow accumulation. Intermediate forms predict an absence of intermediate forms in the fossil record. Effect on organism produces adults that are morphologically and physiologically markedly different from their parents. Most result in non-viable monsters, but rare beneficial macromutations create what Richard Goldsmith called hopeful monsters, organisms capable of occupying a new ecological niche. The rapid evolution of Archaeopteryx into modern birds or the stubby tail mutation amongst cats. So macromutation, neo-Darwinism, macromutation, Goldsmith, scale of genetic change, small slight genetic alteration, major genetic development alteration. Pace of evolution gradual over many generations, sudden occurring in a single step. Intermediate forms exists, many transitional forms expected, absent, no intermediate forms expected. Impact of phenotype, slight subtle variation, drastic structural changes, hopeful monsters. Small variations in fruit fly, bristle set color, tail reduction from Archaeopteryx numbers. While early evolution biologists vigorously debated these two views, modern evolutionary biology recognizes that both play a role. The gradual accumulation of micromutations drive most fine-tuned adaptation within population, whereas significant development or alteration macromutation can occasionally open up major new evolutionary pathways so that they can inhabit new ecological habitats.